I'm Sophie, and my life was supposed to be a quiet, perfect picture. Married to Ethan, the man who's been my rock for 6 years, in our cozy home just outside Chicago. But lately, the weight of his illness has crushed me, leaving me isolated, desperate for a moment of warmth in a house grown cold with worry. I thought I could handle it all, until a seemingly innocent visit from his closest friends turned my world upside down. A single, reckless moment ignited a fire I never meant to start, and now I'm drowning in guilt, haunted by a secret that could shatter everything I've built. What did I do that I can't take back? And will Ethan ever look at me the same way again if he finds out? Picture this. I'm standing at my kitchen window, watching the late afternoon sun spill over the quiet suburban streets, casting long shadows across lawns that haven't been mowed in weeks. There's a stillness out there, a kind of hush that feels heavier than it should. I'm Sophie, 29 years old, and this little slice of life just outside Chicago is mine, or at least, it's the one I've built with Ethan, my husband of 6 years. He's 32, my steady ground, the man who's always been there to catch me when I stumble. But right now, he's the one who's down, and I'm the one trying to hold everything together. Our home is a cozy little haven, tucked into a neighborhood where everyone waves but no one really knows each other. I've got my small office set up in the corner of the living room, where I work as a freelance graphic designer. Usually, I love the freedom of it, setting my own hours, losing myself in colors and shapes. But these days, it's just another weight on my shoulders. Ethan's a high school history teacher, the kind of guy who can make even the dullest war sound like a blockbuster movie. His students adore him, and I've always admired his passion. But for over a week now, he's been bedridden with a brutal case of pneumonia. It's not just a cough or a fever, it's the kind of illness that steals the air from his lungs, leaving him pale and weak in our bedroom upstairs. I've been running between checking on him, fetching water, meds, anything he needs, and trying to keep up with client deadlines. The house feels like it's closing in on me, every creak of the floorboards reminding me I'm doing this alone. I'm exhausted, the kind of tired that seeps into your bones and makes your thoughts fuzzy. I can't remember the last time I had a real conversation with someone that wasn't about symptoms or soup. The neighbors pop by sometimes, just quick hellos at the door to ask if we need anything, but it's not the same as real company. I miss laughing, arguing over something silly, or just sitting with someone who gets it. Emotionally, I'm running on empty, feeling more isolated than I ever thought possible in a house full of memories. I keep telling myself it's temporary, that Ethan will get better soon, but the days drag on, and I'm starting to wonder how much more I can carry. Thankfully, I'm not completely alone in this world. Ethan's got 2 best friends from college, Mark and Caleb, both in their early 30s, who've been part of our lives for as long as I've known him. They're like family, the kind of people who show up without being asked. Mark is the life of any room he walks into, charming, quick with a grin, always ready with a story or a quip that can lift your spirits even on the worst days. Caleb, on the other hand, is quieter, more grounded, the kind of guy who notices the little things and steps in to fix them before you even realize there's a problem. Together, they're a perfect balance, and I've always felt lucky to have them in our corner. So, when I got a text from Mark earlier this week saying they'd swing by on Saturday to check on us, it was like a lifeline being thrown my way. I've been counting down the hours, desperate for a break from the silence that's been suffocating me. It's a chilly Saturday afternoon now, and I'm standing by the front door, the sharp scent of damp leaves drifting in from outside as fall wraps its cold fingers around our neighborhood. The wind gives a little howl as I hear the crunch of gravel under tires, and my heart lifts. They're here. I swing the door open before they even knock, and there's Mark, his wide grin lighting up the gray day like a burst of sunshine. He's holding up a big paper bag from Rusty's Diner, our favorite local spot, the grease stains on the bag promising the kind of comfort food I've been craving. Juicy burgers, crispy fries, maybe even a slice of their famous apple pie. The smell hits me, salty and warm, and I can't help but smile back. "Thought you could use a real meal, Soph," he says, his voice full of that familiar warmth that always makes me feel seen. Behind him, Caleb steps up, his quieter presence just as comforting. He's carrying a small toolbox, the metal edges scuffed from years of use, and he gives me a small nod. "Heard about that kitchen sink leak you've been griping about," he says, his tone matter-of-fact but kind. "Figured I'd take a look while we're here." I'm floored by the gesture, a lump forming in my throat. These guys, they just get it. They know I've been drowning in the day-to-day, and here they are, showing up with food and solutions. I step aside, waving them in. "You have no idea how much this means," I say, my voice a little shaky as I close the door behind them, shutting out the cold. We head to the living room first, the familiar creak of the floorboards underfoot grounding me as I sink into the couch. Mark flops down across from me, setting the diner bag on the coffee table, while Caleb takes the armchair, his toolbox resting by his feet. I glance toward the stairs, my thoughts drifting to Ethan. "I checked on him a bit ago," I tell them, my voice quieter now. "He's sleeping, but he's still got that feverish flush on his cheeks. I hate leaving him up there, even for a minute. Feels like I'm not doing enough." Mark leans forward, his eyes softening. "Hey, you're doing everything you can, Soph. And we're here now, all right? You're not in this by yourself." His words hit me hard, like a wave of relief I didn't know I needed. I nod, swallowing the emotion, and we decide to eat before anything else. We move to the dining table, unpacking the greasy treasure from Rusty's Diner. The burgers are still warm, the fries perfectly crisp, and for a little while, it feels like the weight on my chest lightens. We talk about small things at first, old memories, silly stories from their college days with Ethan, the kind of chatter that fills the room with a warmth I've missed. I let myself laugh, really laugh, for the first time in days, even if it's just for a moment. The plates are soon scattered with crumbs, the apple pie devoured, and as we linger over the last bites, the conversation shifts, dipping into deeper waters. I find myself opening up, the words spilling out before I can stop them. I tell them how hard it's been with Ethan so sick, how I felt like I'm drowning under the endless cycle of worry and responsibility. I admit I've felt invisible lately, just going through the motions, barely holding on. My voice cracks a little as I say it, and I stare at the empty plate in front of me, unable to meet their eyes. Mark listens with an intensity I'm not used to from him, his usual playful demeanor replaced by something softer, more serious. Caleb, sitting across the table, just nods quietly, his gaze steady and full of understanding, like he sees right through to the ache I've been carrying. It's raw, laying myself bare like this, but there's a strange comfort in knowing they're really hearing me. We eventually migrate to the living room again, settling in with a few beers opened, the TV murmuring in the background with some old sports rerun I don't even register. I'm on the couch, Mark beside me, while Caleb takes the armchair across from us. The air feels different now, heavier somehow, like the shift in our talk has changed the room itself. Mark suddenly turns to me, his voice low and earnest. "Sophie, I gotta say you're incredible. The way you've been handling all this, keeping it together, you still manage to look radiant, even with everything weighing on you." I feel my cheeks heat up, a nervous laugh escaping as I wave off the compliment. But I can't ignore the way his eyes linger on me, searching, holding mine a beat too long. My heart does a little stutter, a reaction I didn't expect and definitely shouldn't feel. I shift in my seat, trying to shake it off. The room feels warmer now, the air thick with something I can't quite name, and I scramble to steer us back to safer ground, mumbling something about the game on TV. But Mark doesn't let it drop. He leans closer, his shoulder brushing mine, his hand grazing my fingers as he repeats, "I mean it. You're amazing." Before I can even process what's happening, he closes the distance, his lips pressing against mine in a quick, impulsive kiss that shocks me into stillness. My breath catches, my mind a chaotic mess of guilt and confusion as I pull back, stammering, "Mark, what? We can't..." But even as I say it, there's a flicker of something else. A rush of excitement I haven't felt in weeks. a dangerous spark of feeling wanted that betrays every rational thought. I glance at Caleb, expecting shock or anger, but he's just watching from the armchair, his expression unreadable, intense, almost piercing. He doesn't say a word, doesn't move, and that silence unnerves me more than anything. I'm frozen, torn between stopping this right now and the overwhelming pull of that fleeting warmth. My hands tremble as I try to find the words to push Mark away. But then, in a moment of weakness I know I'll regret, I don't. I let him lean in again, his kiss deeper this time, more insistent, and I'm caught in a storm I never saw coming. It escalates so fast, a blur of tangled emotions as we stumble into something forbidden, right there in my living room, the space that's always been safe, sacred. It's not just I pull away from Mark, my breath coming in jagged gasps, the reality of what just happened slamming into me like a freight train. My chest feels tight, like the walls of the living room are pressing in, suffocating me with every second that ticks by. The beer bottles on the coffee table, half empty and forgotten, seem to mock me, sitting there as silent witnesses to how everything unraveled in just a matter of minutes. The muted TV flickers with some meaningless game, its dull glow a cruel reminder of how normal things felt just an hour ago, before I let myself fall into this mess. I can't bring myself to look at Mark, who's fumbling with the hem of his shirt, adjusting it as if that could somehow erase the line we just crossed. He mutters something under his breath, a half-hearted excuse about how we got carried away, but his words barely register over the roaring in my ears. Then there's Caleb, finally getting to his feet from the armchair, but still not saying a single thing. His silence is deafening, heavier than any accusation could ever be, and it cuts through me like a knife. My hands are shaking as I reach up to smooth my hair, a desperate attempt to regain some kind of control, to pull myself together when everything inside me is spiraling. But my mind won't stop screaming, won't stop reminding me of Ethan upstairs, sleeping so peacefully, completely unaware of the betrayal that just unfolded right beneath him. How could I do this? How could I let myself sink so low, in our home, in the space we've built together? The guilt is a living thing, clawing at my insides, making my stomach churn as I struggle to keep my composure. I can't stay here, not in this room, not with them. I mumble something about needing to clean up, my voice barely above a whisper, and I bolt for the kitchen, my legs unsteady beneath me. The sink is my refuge, or at least I tell myself it is as I turn on the faucet, letting the cold water rush over my hands before splashing it onto my face. The shock of it stings, but it's not enough to wash away the shame. I grip the edge of the counter, staring at my reflection in the small window above the sink. The woman looking back at me is a stranger, eyes wide with panic, cheeks flushed with something that isn't just embarrassment. I hate her. I hate what she's done, what I've done. How did I let it come to this? How did I let a moment of weakness turn into something so unforgivable? My breath hitches as I try to steady myself, but the weight of it all just keeps pressing down, threatening to crush me. I hear footsteps behind me, and my spine stiffens. It's Mark, his presence filling the small kitchen even before he speaks. His voice is low, almost a whisper, as he starts to apologize, saying he didn't mean for things to go that far, that he got caught up in the moment. But I can't listen to it, can't let him make excuses for something that never should have happened. I whip around, cutting him off, my own voice a fierce hiss as I tell him this can never happen again, that it was a mistake, a terrible, stupid mistake. My words tremble with the effort to keep them quiet, to keep this contained, but the anger and regret behind them are raw, slicing through the air between us. He nods, looking down at the floor, but I can't tell if he really gets it, if he understands the wreckage we've just caused. From the doorway, Caleb finally breaks his silence, his tone calm but firm, as he suggests we all just cool off, that we shouldn't make things worse by overreacting. I nod, but it's a hollow gesture, my body moving on autopilot, while inside I'm a storm of chaos. Cool off? How am I supposed to do that when every thought is consumed by the fear of Ethan finding out, of him somehow sensing that something's wrong the moment he looks at me? Will I even be able to meet his eyes again, without crumbling under the weight of this secret? My heart is pounding so hard I'm sure I can't breathe, like the air itself is too thick with the mess I've made. I hear the faint rumble of Mark and Caleb gathering their things in the living room, their voices low and tense as they prepare to leave. I don't go back out there. I can't face them, not after what happened, not with the memory of those stolen, reckless moments burning in my mind. I stay by the sink, gripping the counter until my knuckles turn white, listening as the front door opens and closes with a soft thud. The sound of their car engine starting up feels like a small mercy, a signal that this nightmare of an afternoon is finally over. But as their tires crunch over the gravel and fade into the distance, the silence that settles over the house is worse. It's suffocating, pressing down on me like a physical weight, broken only by the faint creak of a floorboard upstairs. My heart stops. Ethan, is he awake? Did he hear something? The thought sends a jolt of pure panic through me, and my legs feel like they might give out as I force myself to move. I creep out of the kitchen, my footsteps slow and deliberate, each one echoing in my ears as I make my way to the staircase. My stomach is in knots, twisting tighter with every step I take. The hallway feels longer than it ever has, the dim light from the fading day casting shadows that seem to mock me, stretching and warping like my own distorted thoughts. I pause at the bottom of the stairs, my hand trembling as it grips the banister. I can't shake the image of what I've done, the way I let myself fall into that forbidden rush with Mark, a moment of weakness that spiraled into something I can't undo. It's like a stain on my soul, one I can't scrub clean no matter how hard I try. I climb the stairs, each one feeling like a mountain, my breath shallow and uneven. When I reach the top, I hesitate outside our bedroom door, my hand hovering over the knob. I can hear a faint rustle from inside, a sign that Ethan's stirring, and the sound pierces me with a fresh wave of dread. What if he knows? What if he can see it on my face the second I walk in? I swallow hard, forcing myself to turn the knob and step inside. The room is dim, the curtains drawn against the late afternoon light, and there he is, sitting up in bed, propped against the pillows. He looks so pale, his skin almost translucent under the faint glow of the bedside lamp, but his eyes are open, alert in a way I haven't seen in days. My chest tightens at the sight of him, a mix of relief that he's awake and terror at what I'm carrying inside me. Sophie! His voice is hoarse, rough from disuse and the illness still clinging to him, but it's enough to shatter me. Is everything okay? I thought I heard voices downstairs. My heart lurches into my throat, and I force a smile, the kind that feels like it's cracking my face in half. I step closer, my hands fidgeting at my sides as I scramble for a lie. Oh, it was just the TV, I say, my voice too bright, too brittle. Mark and Caleb stopped by for a bit to drop off some food from Rusty's. Nothing big. I didn't want to wake you. He nods slowly, his eyes searching mine for a moment, but he's too tired, too drained to push. A small, weak smile tugs at his lips as he gestures to the spot beside him. Come sit with me. I've missed you today. Those words are a dagger, slicing straight through the fragile wall I've been trying to build around my guilt. I nod, unable to trust my voice, and perch on the edge of the bed, every inch of my body screaming with the weight of what I've done. He reaches for my hand, his fingers cool and slightly clammy from the fever that hasn't fully broken, and the simple touch nearly undoes me. Thanks for being so strong for me, Soph, he murmurs, his thumb brushing over my knuckles, in a way. It's been a week since that awful Saturday, and I'm still walking through my days like I'm trapped in some kind of fog. I'm Sophie, still here in this quiet house just outside Chicago, but nothing feels the same anymore. The memory of what happened with Mark lingers like a shadow I can't shake, following me into every corner of my life. I can still feel the weight of that moment, the reckless heat of it, a forbidden rush that I let myself fall into, betraying everything I hold dear. It's a scar on my heart, one that throbs every time I think about it, which is far too often. I've been trying to focus on Ethan, on his recovery, as if pouring all my energy into him might somehow wash away the guilt that's eating me alive. Ethan's getting better, slowly but surely. Each day, I see a little more color in his cheeks, hear a bit more strength in his voice when he calls out to me from the bedroom. He's not back to himself yet, still needs rest and care, but he's starting to sit up longer, even managing a few steps around the room without that awful wheeze in his chest. Watching him heal should fill me with relief, and it does, in a way. But every time his eyes meet mine, every time he smiles with that quiet trust, I feel this sharp, piercing ache of unworthiness. He has no idea what I've done, no clue about the line I crossed in our own home while he was upstairs fighting to breathe. And I've decided, at least for now, to keep it that way. He's still so fragile, still mending, and the thought of shattering his heart with the truth while he's like this, it's more than I can bear. So I swallow the secret, let it sit heavy in my chest, even as it feels like it's burning a hole through me. I've been avoiding Mark and Caleb completely since that day. My phone buzzes with their texts, their missed calls lighting up the screen at odd hours, but I can't bring myself to answer. I don't even read the messages. Just seeing their names pop up sends a wave of nausea through me, a reminder of the mess we made, of the way I let myself be swept up in a moment of weakness. I've deleted their voicemails without listening, afraid of what they might say, afraid of hearing Mark's voice trying to explain or Caleb's quiet tone trying to smooth things over. I can't face them, can't face the memory of what happened in my living room, the space that used to feel so safe. So I've cut them out, at least for now, building a wall between us that I don't know if I'll ever be ready to tear down. Instead, I've thrown myself into taking care of Ethan, almost obsessively. I'm overcompensating, I know it, but I can't stop. I've been cooking his favorite meals, even when I'm too tired to stand at the stove. Grilled cheese with extra cheddar, just the way he likes it, or that hearty beef stew he always craves in the fall. I bring him trays with little extras, like a slice of pie from the diner or a mug of hot cocoa, hoping these small gestures might somehow balance the scales of what I've done. I stay up late with him, sitting on the edge of the bed, talking about anything and everything. Old memories, silly dreams for the future, whatever keeps his mind off the lingering ache in his lungs. He laughs sometimes, a weak but genuine sound, and I cling to it, even as I feel like a fraud. Every kind word from him, every touch of his hand, feels like a judgment I don't deserve. I'm trying to be the wife he needs, the one he thinks I am, but inside, I'm crumbling under the weight of my own deception. I keep asking myself how I let it happen. How did I, Sophie, the woman who's always prided herself on loyalty, fall so far? I've replayed that afternoon 1,000 times in my head, dissecting every moment, every choice. I was so lonely, so drained from weeks of carrying everything. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and comment if you enjoyed this story. This will help us create more engaging stories for you.